Hey friends, I want to talk about all the books that I read in August. In the end of July, I started going through, I don't know, I started reading a lot of period romance, and I really have never been a period romance reader, so this was like entirely new for me. So the first book I read in August was by Tessa Dare. It was called Say Yes to the Marquess, and it's the second book in the Castles Ever After trilogy from her. It follows Cleo Whitmore, who's been engaged to her fiance, Piers Brandon, for 8 years. And she's finally decided after these 8 years, after she inherits a castle, that she's going to break off the engagement and try to make it on her own. Piers' brother, Rafe Brandon, doesn't agree with this, and he's trying to convince her that she should stay engaged to him and get married. Through all this, it becomes kind of this, funny, rom-com. Obviously, it's a romance, so they fall in love, and it follows their journey. It's very cute. I love Tessa Dare's writing. I had never read anything from her before the end of July, and so after I found her, I fell in love. The characters have fantastic banter, their chemistry is amazing. Next was another book by Tessa Dare, and this one was called The Duchess Deal. This is the first in a series called Girl Meets Duke. In this one, the Duke of Ashbury needs an heir to keep all of his estates basically and all his wealth in the family, so it doesn't go to his cousin. So in a marriage of convenience, he gets with Emma Gladstone. He has all these rules like no kissing, and when she's pregnant with his heir, he wants her to live completely separate. Obviously it's a rom-com, they fall in love and it follows their journey. This one I rated a 3.5. I think that their chemistry was not nearly as good as in the previous book I read, but it was still pretty cute. I appreciated the banter, but I found that it was a little bit more repetitive. The Duke of Ashbury has all these scars, and they become kind of a central point of the plot. He's really self-conscious about them, and that got kind of annoying to me over time, but overall, still a very cute book. Then, I had had enough of my period romance. I got my fix. So then I read When Among Crows by Veronica Roth, which is a short story. It's 176 pages, so a novella. This book I think was based off of Slavic folklore. That may not be correct. I'll edit somewhere in here. But so because of this, I thought the magic system in this book was so different from anything I had ever read before. The plot of this one is kind of confusing, and I'm gonna say that I think this book is better going into it knowing as little as possible. It's incredibly fast-paced. It takes a course over a day and a half, I think. Because it's a shorter book, you don't get nearly as much time doing established world building. Veronica Roth does not waste any time in getting the plot going. This was easy to get through. I think I got through it in a night, which is impressive because I'm a mom. Veronica Roth's writing is very lyrical as well, and I honestly didn't know where this was going until about 75% of the way through the book. I also didn't realize until I was almost done reading that Veronica Roth was the same author who wrote Divergent, but this book is completely different. So if you want something that is quick and fun and fantastical, I would highly recommend this. It's also urban fantasy, and I really don't tend to like urban fantasy, but I loved this. Okay, then I read A Prayer for the Ground Shy, which is the second book in the Monk and Robot series by Becky Chambers. It's a cozy fantasy, it's short, it's only 152 pages. Sibling Dex and Moscap are just continuing on to the villages and cities, introducing Moscap to all these people so that they can figure out what people need. So wholesome, it's a relaxing read, no stress, such low stakes. That was a 4-star read for me, highly recommend. Okay, then for my final read of August, technically, I read The Royal Assassin, which is the second book in the Farseer trilogy by Robin Hobb. Royal Assassin, being the second book in the series, continues on from the journey in the first book. I thought the second book in this series was exponentially better than the first book. I think because so much of the first book is spent establishing Fitz as a character. You're watching as he's developing his morals, you're doing so much character introduction. You didn't have to spend the time doing that in the second book. There was much more action in the second book. There was much more political intrigue. This was a 5-star book for me. I love this series, and I'll talk about this more later, but this whole series is a 5-star series for me. I finished the trilogy, and I haven't finished a series in I literally cannot remember how long. This whole series, I think, is part of a genre that people describe as old man fantasy. It's slow. Robin Hobb's character work is fantastic, so you really just spend the whole book inside Fitz's mind, and I really liked the consistency of that. The magic in the whole series is very subtle. There's no spell casting. There's not very many fantastical creatures that you're seeing. I say that, but a main villain in this book is basically zombies. But there's no over-the-top fantasy elements, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So to me, I feel like this is a cozy fantasy series. But I think these books are really comforting. I loved getting close to Fitz. He's a new best friend to me now. So if that sounds interesting to you, I highly recommend reading the whole series.
I had to cut this short earlier, but thank you for making it all the way through the video. I hope you enjoyed.
like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you next time.